Nice to know that. So to begin with, let's focus on the previous class that we have had, our orientation class. And on that class, on that orientation class, we have been through the types of the IELTS speaking module, the parts that you will have to fail in the IELTS speaking test. And we have talked about 3 parts of this exam, part 1, part 2, and part 3. The part 1 is actually introductory short questions. The part 2 is the contemporary speech, which is, you can say, the cue card. You have to talk for 2 minutes without any interruptions. That part 2, that is part 2. And the part 3 is the conversation, two-way conversation, discussion. So descriptive questions and answers will be in the part 3. So these are the 3 parts that these have been discussed earlier in the orientation class. And we have also said that it will take around 14 to 15 minutes for the speaking test. So I guess you all have already got an idea about the IELTS speaking test, and you got an idea about what the test is, how will it happen, what you have to do in the test. So I guess you are now well aware of the IELTS speaking test structure. So that was the objective of our orientation class. Now, in today's class, in today's lecture, I'm going to share with you some important things about the IELTS speaking test part 1. So in the part 1, the short or introductory question part, how will you have to answer, or how can you, how can you go through the questions, what you have to say, what should you do, what you should not do. These kind of things we'll discuss today. And we'll have multiple classes for IELTS speaking test part 1. Then even we'll have practice classes where you will get to practice, and I can give you some feedback based on your practice answer. So this is the plan regarding the IELTS speaking test part 1. So we'll be starting this now. So I'm going to share you a document today so that we can go through that document. Someone has written sound 9. Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right? Just write on the chat box if you can hear me all right or not. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's share the document with you. Share. I hope you can see the document. Is this visible to you guys, the document? You can say or write in the chat box that yes, we can see. Thank you. All right. So this is the IELTS speaking module, and this document is actually provided to you by Hassel for Education. So I guess you will get this document, or you have already got this document with you. I don't know about that. I do not know nothing about that, but you are supposed to get this document with you. All right. So this is the concept check. So this is related to our first orientation class, that how will this class, this test will happen. So the speaking test lasts about 17 to 11 minutes, 11 to 14 minutes, 14 to 18 minutes. It depends, but basically on an average, it can be said that it will take around 15 minutes. So 3 parts of this test. So, here it is written 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts. How many parts of this test? What do you think? How many parts are there for IELTS speaking test? Okay, 3 parts. Yeah. In the first part, you will be asked questions on personal topics, academic subjects, or topics in the news. What do you think? What will be the answer? The answer of the question number 3 is A, B, or C. All right, A. All right, nice. So I guess I have successfully gone through all of these concepts back in my orientation class. So we will not be wasting more time on this. So there is 4 criteria that I have already talked with you, that you will be judged based on these criteria on your IELTS speaking test. That's from the previous class. Your fluency and coherence. Fluency is one of the most important criteria that you have to have in your IELTS speaking test. You have to be fluent, my friend. You have to talk fluently. So what does it mean by fluency? I have to know from you. What do you think about fluency? What is fluency to you? What is fluency? Can you write the answer here in the chat box, please? What is fluency to you? When we call a person fluent in a language, when he or she, the person can, talk or can communicate without, much, without a lot interruption. Okay, all right. So, not the length. To me, Nafiza, can you please mute yourself? Okay. So, yeah. So, to me, fluency is something that actually tells us that a person can communicate without any interruption in a particular language. So you can, if you can communicate without any interruption, without thinking too much, without having too much breaks, then I can say that you are fluent in a language. Yeah. So I have got nice answers from Roman, from Johnny, from Sakibuddin, Samia, Ronnie Sheikh. Yeah, you all are correct. Absolutely. So the first thing to do for your IELTS exam, maybe you will be asking me this question: how can I be fluent? How can I be fluent? That's one of the most common questions. My one answer is, friends, there is no shortcut to success. There is no shortcut to fluency. So there is only one way to be fluent in English, is to talk in English. That's the only simple and the only way. You have to talk in English. In order to be fluent in English, you have to talk. That's it. That's so simple. So, okay, my network. No, my network is all right. I'm in the UK. So I have around 1 Gbps bandwidth. So maybe it's the other way. You are suffering from network issues, Johnny. My network is all right. Are you guys feeling the same? Am I getting interrupted by the network? Please, can you write in the chat box? Okay. Yes, no network issues. There should not be. because here I use 1 Gbps bandwidth, so my network should not get interrupted. Thank you. Lexical resource. I guess I have talked about it in the previous class as well. So lexical resource means vocabulary. It might seem a bit complex here, lexical resource, but it simply means vocabulary. Your bag of words. How many words you know? So actually, Jahirul, yeah, you'll get chance when there will be chance given for the questions, no problem. So lexical resource means vocabulary. You have to know a variety of words. So to me, from my personal experience, I can say that if you can implement variety of words in your sentence building, that means do not use the same word repeatedly. You will get a good point in the lexical resource part. And of course, you have to say some uncommon words that those words should not be regularly used. So some uncommon words, if you can implement that in your IELTS test, if you can show that you are actually extremely capable of implementing various kind of words in your sentence building, then it will put a positive impression on the examiner's mind, and the examiner will be going to give you a good band score in terms of lexical resource or vocabulary. Then grammatical range and accuracy. You already know the accuracy and the grammatical range is very important for the IELTS exam, as I have discussed in the previous class. And you have to be grammatically correct. Basically, the sentence structure, subject plus verb plus object, this kind of basic typical grammatical structure should be maintained, and some kind of typical and some typical grammatical structures like tense. It is very important. And you have to know how to use appropriate prepositions. But if you make some minor mistakes here and there, that's all right. We're not native speakers, so we can make those mistakes as well. So do not worry about that. Then the last part is pronunciation. So it's not the accent, it's pronunciation. So the pronunciation is very important. You have to have, you have to know the correct pronunciation of the words. You may say it in a different way because of your accent, but your pronunciation, the actual pronunciation of the words should be correct. So these are the things that I have discussed in the previous class as well. And you can go through these 20 points later on that answers how to get a good band score. You'll get these when you get the document with you. All right, so today's lecture is mainly about the IELTS Speaking Test Part 1, introductory questions, short questions, and we'll see some examples of these questions. Then I'll give you one simple structure for this question to follow. So you can follow that structure to answer your questions of IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. Okay, do you have problems listening to me? Are you facing problems listening to me? Anamul Haq said, maybe if you remove headphones, sound will increase a little. No, sir, that's not the case. The case is maybe my input device today is a different one. That's why you're getting a different voice. Okay. Here are some questions and answers. I'll not go through that. Not go through the activities. Yeah. These are the examples of the questions the practice questions. First set of questions: may I know your full name? How may I address you? May I see your ID? Where do you live now? Where do you come from? These are the very basic questions, and maybe most of you will face these questions after just entering the exam hall. So these are the part of IELTS test part 1, introductory short questions. So I have already told you, because these are the short questions, you have to answer them briefly. So you should not get in a deep conversation for answering these questions. So how can you answer that? In my opinion, in my suggestion, for IELTS test part 1, you can answer them using 2 or 3 sentences. So it is very important. You can note it down. For answering the questions of IELTS Speaking Test Part 1, you can use 2 or 3 sentences for each question's answer. So, for example, the question, where do you live now? If you say that, currently I live in Dhaka city, that can be an answer. That is a good answer, but that is not the best one. For the IELTS Speaking Test Part 1, you should not just answer using 1 sentence. You can do that. You can obviously do that, and you'll get some band score for that. But us, we here in the Hassel for Education, the students here, we want to get good band score. So for getting a good band score, we'll have to answer the questions of IELTS Speaking Test Part 1 using 2 or 3 sentences. So how can we structure those sentences? What is the rule? How can we say something more for these questions? Where do you live now? So how can we say more than 1 sentence for this? There is a very simple trick. First sentence will be your answer itself. The second sentence will be a short explanation or short reasoning for your answer. And the third sentence will be a simple example or an extra information. So let's write it here. Okay. Let me write something. So the first sentence, sentence number 1, will be the answer itself. The second sentence will be a simple explanation. And the third sentence will be example or extra bit of information. So yeah, that's the trick. So that's how you're going to build your answer for the IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. That's so easy, you know. So if you follow this criteria, I'm not saying that you have to follow these. You can do whatever you want. You are an adult person, in fact. So you can decide. There are a lot of guides, a lot of tutorials, a lot of books written for the IELTS exam itself. So you can follow any of the structures or any of the suggestions, any of the tips which are given there. But for me, I'm talking from my own experience. And for me, this trick worked. So this trick worked for me, and it should work for you as well. So this is the trick for building the answer of IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. There should be 3 sentences. The sentence number 1 will be the answer itself. The sentence number 2 will be a simple explanation for your answer. And the sentence number 3 will be one example or extra bit of information. So 3 sentences, 3 little sentences together will make a good answer for your IELTS speaking test part 1. So these is the basic structure. So I'm going to ask you to write down the answer. Where do you come from? Where do you come from? Can you please write this answer on the chat box according to the criteria, according to the tips that I have already shown you, using 3 sentences. Can you please write it down in the chat box so that I can see your answer for this question, and so that I can understand that you have understood the concept of 3 sentences for answering the assessment test part 1. Can you please write it down? No, I'm not going to give you the answer right now. I'm going to tell you later on. First, I have to see, have you understood the concept or not? So where do you come from? Can you please write it down? Using 3 sentences. Then I'll give you one proper answer though, in my opinion. So look, you guys are taking time for answering this, but think about the speaking test scenario. The examiner has asked you one question. You have to answer instantly. If you think too much, then it is a pure indication of your incapability of speaking the language. That means you are not fluent. So do not take this much time for answering any question. This is so simple. You have to prove that you're fluent. So if you take this much time answering one simple question, then you're not fluent enough, my friend. So you have to act fluently. You have to act fast in this regard. Okay, I have got some answers. Johnny said, I'm actually from Mirzapur, which is in Tamil district, but currently I live in Thanmodi for more exist. Okay. Okay, I'm from Delhi, India. It comes under National Capital Region. I like the weather of Delhi. That's the structure of Phil Chaudhary from Delhi. That's the structure I was expecting from you guys. Yeah, 3 sentences. One, the answer itself. The second one, a simple explanation. And the third one extra bit of information or an example. Thank you, Akhil Chaudhary. And then Rebecca, my hometown is Kumilla. I born there and spent my early childhood over there. So Rebecca, what can I see from your answer? Your grammatical structure is not good. You're missing some auxiliary verbs and appropriate prepositions in your answer. So these will cost you marks in the IELTS exam. So try to work on your grammar, basic grammar, before preparing for IELTS. It is very important to work on your basic grammar. This is not a grammar course at all. This is a course of IELTS exam. But if you want to do well in the IELTS exam, you have to know the basic grammatical rules. So please work on that. That is my suggestion to all of you. Can you please work on your grammar before attending for the IELTS exam? It is very easy. You can just, go through the grammatical rules for a few days. Then you can, continue preparing for the IELTS exam. Okay, I have seen many answers. Okay. Abdullah Muhammad, your answer is good. Fahim, nice. Ronnie Sheikh. Okay. Ronnie Sheikh, your answer was good. Ramim, nice. Good one. Jamil Chaudhary, your answer was good. You have given a good example as well. Nice, Jamil. Great. Mahmoud, you have given a reason, short explanation for your Dhaka city. Yeah, for living in the Dhaka city. Yeah, that's a nice one, Mahmoud. So Tanjina, Taznir Akhtar. Yeah, nice. So Jannati, good one. So you guys have understood the rules or my tips. I am not saying that you must have to follow it in order to do well in the IELTS exam. I'm just saying that this is one of the ways to provide good answers for the IELTS test part one. There are many other ways, but this is one of the ways to make 3 sentences and to answer them. All right. So as you all have answered, and some of you actually have done it pretty well, maybe even better than me, just let's give you my answer. Where do you come from? If I were you, and I have had to give the IELTS exam again, maybe I would answer like this. I have come from Dhaka, and I also currently live in Dhaka because my father have settled in Dhaka 30 years ago. I love Dhaka. I love the vibe of the city. Yeah, that's a very casual answer to this question. I'm giving you the explanation. I'm giving you the extra bit of information that I love Dhaka. So that's so simple, right? You can be so simple. You can act so simple answering these questions as well. But you have to prove that you are flexible enough, you are fluent enough. Do not take much time thinking about the answer of the question. So that's the main part of this. So now, if we go to this part, okay. Let's discuss about this. What is the area like where you live? So there are 3 answers for this. It's boring. There isn't anything to do. There are shops, no parks, no cinemas or restaurants or discos. It's boring. It's quite boring. There isn't much to do. No shops, no cinemas or anything. So which one is the better answer for the question number 2? A, B, or C? What do you think? Maybe this is the question of your IELTS speaking test part 1. So in your opinion, which one is the better answer? Okay. Everybody is going for A. Anybody for B? Anybody for option number B or option number C? Okay. I'm talking for the question number 2. What is the area like where you live? The question number 2. What is the better answer here? The question number 2. 2A. Okay. Look, you have to understand one thing. That's the point of showing this. You have to understand this is a short question part. And for the question number 2, there are 3 options. And the option number A, it's boring. There isn't anything to do. There are no shops, no parks, no cinemas, no restaurants or discourse or sports centers. It is repeating the objects again and again. But you are not expecting this repetition in your short question answer. It is saying no shops, no parks, no cinemas or restaurants or discourse or sports centers. Many things together. This is not expected as your short answer. But look at the option number C or option number 3 is quite boring. There isn't much to do, 2 sentences done. You're giving example, no shops or cinemas or anything. You're giving example as well, but you're making it short. That's the point. So in the option number 3 or C, you're saying it's quite boring. There isn't much to do, no shops or cinemas or anything. You're just concluding with anything rather than stating every object, each and every object. So that's one smart way to do it. One smart way to provide short answers using 2 or 3 sentences where you are giving explanation and examples. What is the area like where you live? You have said it is quite boring. That means this is your answer. Now you have to give an explanation. The explanation or reasoning is, it is boring. Why? Because there isn't much to do. Then the last part will be providing some extra information or example. Here we can see examples. There isn't much to do. The example, no shops or cinemas or anything. Now, I guess you can understand the concept of answering. Yeah, IELTS speaking test part 1. I guess you can understand the concept now, how to answer the questions of IELTS speaking test part 1. So literally the fact is, as it is your short questions part, so you have to know when to finish. Like, do not make it too large or do not make it too small, like the option number B. What is the area like where you live? You have just said it's boring. No, that's not the way to answer with just one sentence, with just 2 words. No, we do not expect you to answer using 2 words. So you have to answer using 2 or 3 sentences, and you can give examples or a bit of information there at the last part of your answer. But try not to, make it too large. For example, do you come from a small family or a large family? Question number 1. Question number 1, do you come from a small family or a large family? So you have said that large. You can also say that I have come from a large family. In my family, there are my parents and my 2 brothers and 1 sister. You can say like this as well, but do not make it larger like this. For question number 1, option number C, it is a vast one, large. There's my mother, Anna, she's a teacher. My father, Paul, he's an engineer. We have 2 elder brothers, Phil and Dave, they're at university. And then my 2 younger sisters, Chris and Helen, they're still at school. No, you should not make your answer this much big. So what will be the proper answer for the question number 1? So is it A or B or C? Can you write it down, please? All right, I'm getting the answers. It's option number A. So option number A is appropriate. So friends, I guess you have got the concept of answering the questions of IELTS speaking test part 1. Now, let's go to another one. The last one. What do you find most difficult about learning English? The grammar, especially the tenses. Sometimes I don't know the right one to use. And then you have a broader answer as well. And the last one is the shorter answer. So for the question number 3, what will be the correct answer? Or there's nothing called correct or incorrect here. I'm very sorry. What will be the better answer? Relatively better answer for the question number 3. What will be relatively the better answer? Okay, you guys are writing option number A. You're right. So I guess you have got the concept of how to answer the questions of the part 1. So now I guess I have told you enough regarding answering assessment test part 1. Now I would like you guys to ask me questions. So you can raise your hand if you want to ask any question regarding this particular topic of answering assessment test part 1 questions. If you have any questions, particularly regarding this, you can raise your hand up and I'll unmute you so that you can ask your question. So if there is anyone, are you interested to ask any questions? Participants, you can raise your hand. Okay, I can see hand of Zahirul Khan. I'm asking you to unmute now and you can ask your question.
Okay, my first question was at the scoring part. Here, the first point was the fluency or the coherence.
Yeah.
I have understand what the fluency means, but I would like to know what the coherence means.
All right. All right. And your second question? You have said this is your first question. Do you have any other question? Okay, I guess you do not have any other question. All right. Coherence. There should be a lecture on this as well. So that's why I didn't go through that coherence part explicitly, but you have asked me the question, so I have to answer it. The coherence means the connection between your sentences and the words. So coherent means connected, well connected. So your answers or whatever you are telling to your examiner, it should make sense together. For example, you are saying one sentence for a particular topic. Maybe this question, what is the area like where you live? You're saying that it is quite boring. Then all on a sudden, you're telling that the sky is blue. I love black cows. Then you're not coherent enough, my friend. Your sentences should be connected enough, should make sense together. So whenever you're talking about something, you are having a conversation, your sentences should be well connected together. So you are talking about something, you're using one sentence, then you're using other sentence, you're making sentences and words. So they should be connected and they should be making sense together. So do not say something in one perspective and maybe the other sentence should be from stars. No. So the sentence should be well connected, coherent. So they should make sense together. So for answering this, what is the area like where you live? If you say it is quite boring, there isn't much to do, that means you are talking about the same thing, you are coherent, you know what you are talking about. So that's your answer, Jahirul, I guess. So is there any other question? Okay, Jahirul have raised hand again. I'm asking you to unmute.
Sorry, last time I have unmuted, then I muted, then I cannot unmute myself again. Okay, my question is, you just show the area method. Can you give us one or two examples using this area? The answer, reason, example, and additional information.
Yeah, for this particular question?
You can show us the question, then we can ask you the question. The previous part.
Okay, no problem. I guess already given an answer for a question, but I'll be giving you another answer for another question. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So yeah, You can see there are a lot of practice questions. Well, I'm picking this one. What subject are you studying? You can say that I'm studying computer science. That can be one thing, but no, we are trying to answer it using 2 or 3 sentences. I'm studying computer science because from my childhood, I love to write on the computers. Now I have got the chance to program with my computer. So you are giving the explanation. I am studying computer science because from my childhood, I love to write on computers. Now I can program on computers. You're giving one extra bit of information with this as well. So if the examiner says that, is it very interesting? You can say, affirmative, it is very interesting indeed. I find fun when I work with computers. Yeah, you can say like this. So just, just be natural while answering your questions. Do not try to overthink about your question. That will show that you're not fluent enough. So that's my point. Whatever you are going to do not show the examiner you're frustrated, you're trying to think about your answer. No, just try to respond as fast as possible. So you have to be as fluent as possible. You have to be reflective. So try to show that you have that reflex. Whenever the examiner is firing a question on you, you are answering it with fire. So we are playing with fire. So Asia Cup is, going to happen very soon. Are you guys fan of cricket? So what do you think who will win this Asia Cup? Can you provide the answer using our method, please? Who will win Asia Cup 2022? Can you please answer using our method? Your answers, your explanation with one extra piece of information. So this is very interesting. You can try answering the questions on the chat box. I'll read one of the interesting answers as well. All right. So do you have any other questions? If you guys have any other questions, you can just raise your hand and we can talk about your question as well. So to sum up this lecture today, we have seen some of the examples of assessment test part 1. Okay, I have a question again. Someone raised their hand. Okay, I'm asking you to unmute Pasum Rahman. Hello, Mr. Rahman. Do you have any question? I can't hear you, Rahman.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Mr. Rahman. Do you have any question? How can I help you?
Okay. Lexical resource, that means we use the sophisticated word that we are not use available, or we use the different word in our speakings. What the mean actual the lexical resource?
Yeah, it simply means vocabulary. Lexical resource means vocabulary. So yeah, for getting a good band score in this part, as we're not native speakers, we do not have that much lexical resource as the native as well, that I can understand. But if you have that much lexical resource, you'll get a 9 out of 9 as well in the speaking. So for getting a good band score in lexical resource, or if you want to know the true meaning of marking for the lexical resource, is to implement different vocabularies at different times. So if you're talking about something, if you're answering your question, if you implement the same words repeatedly, then the examiner will understand you have less lexical resource. So you have to be, what can I say? There is one particular English word for this. You have to be vibrant. Another one is you have to be diverse. So these two words is like very much indication of the lexical resource, of getting a good band score in the lexical resource part. So you have to be vibrant. You have to bring different words in your sentence structure, and you have to be diverse. So use different set of words in your answers. So that is more important than using the sophisticated or the complex words or uncommon words. In my opinion, that is more important. If you use different words, vibrant words, or if your sentence structure is diversified in terms of words, then that is one good way, one decent way of bringing a good band score in the lexical resource part. And if you know complex words, if you know uncommon words, then that is good for you. You can implement those as well. You will get even a greater band score. So, but the first things first, the basic one is ensure that you do not use the same words again and again in your sentence structure. Thank you, Mr. Rehman.
Thank you too.
Mr. Chaudhary, I'm asking you to unmute. Can you ask your question, please?
Thank you for unmuting me. I have a couple of questions. First one is about the practice session, when we can expect it to be started. And secondly, I just want to know, as we are having 3 sessions in a week, so when can we expect the commencement of the course? It probably will take 3 months or so. Probably it would be end in the month of November.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Chaudhary. The first question is when we can expect the practice session to happen. Actually, I'm planning it right now that for after ending each part, maybe I'll take another 1 lecture session for the part 1. Then after ending each part's lecture, we'll be having a practice session, particularly on that part. If 1 practice session is not enough, because there are many people, maybe, for that reason, maybe I'll take 2 practice sessions for 1 particular part of your IELTS test. So you can expect practice sessions after ending the lecture part. So maybe I'll have another lecture for this part 1, then I'll go to the practice sessions. So that's and after ending all of the lectures like part 1, part 2, and part 3, then we will only have practice sessions, and there we will be taking mock test like the real one. So that's one of your answers. And the second answer to the second question is there should be 40 classes in total. But as I can see of now, the hassle-free education is planning to increase the number of classes because of the greater number of students present here. We need more practice sessions. That's why they're trying to increase the number of the classes. So there might not be only 40 classes. You can expect maybe around 50 classes. So now do your maths, 3 classes per week. How many weeks will it take? Maybe around 2 or 3 months. Thank you for your question, Mr. Chaudhary. I guess there is one other question as well. I'm asking you to unmute Mahabuba Akhtar Maliha.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask one thing.
Yep.
In which criteria I should focus more, influency or lexical resource? As while using different kind of words, if it makes me unfluent, is it a problem, or should I be fluent all time using normal words? What?
Okay.
Do you understand what I try to mean? Actually, I'm not good in speaking.
No problem. I got your question actually.
Okay.
This is not paradise, madam. This is not paradise. So we can't expect everything to go on our way. So you have to actually focus on both the things rather than one. you have to be fluent as well as you have to be well versed on the lexical part as well. But if you just want to know this answer in just one simple word, then the answer will be fluency. I guess you have got my point, but you have to be actually putting emphasis on both the topics, fluency and lexical resources as well. But if you think that this is your extreme end, you are going to take IELTS within 2 days, and what you should focus on, because you have no other weapons now, you can't do anything else now, you have no room for improvement right now, then I can say focus on your fluency rather than anything else. I hope that answers my question, your question. Yeah, Akhil, yeah, you can expect the practice session within a month's time. Yeah. So do you have any other questions? Otherwise, I will be bringing up the summary of this class today. Pradeep, I'm asking you to unmute. Mr. Pradeep, you can ask your question.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for letting me ask a question.
It's my
Sir,
pleasure. Yeah. Hello, Pradeep. I can't hear you now.
I want to know how can... Hello?
Yeah. Please repeat your question.
Sir, I actually want to know how can I enrich my vocabulary and how can I be fluently?
Okay, that's a very interesting question and a very common one. How can you enrich your vocabulary? Is to enriching a vocabulary by natural way. Many people will tell you to memorize words. I'm not going to tell you that is not ethical, but that is one way you can memorize words. There are many books like 700, 800 words for IELTS. There are many things available like that. I'm not going to suggest you that. The natural way for increasing vocabulary is to talk, is to listen to the native listeners. So you can listen to the news, you can read good journals or good articles, and if you even read if you even read a newspaper in English, the newspaper will provide you with words that you don't know. So if you build a habit of reading English newspapers, your vocabulary will definitely increase. It will be enriched. And for fluency, that is a very simple answer. For fluency, please talk in English each day with someone else. Have a conversation from now on, from today. Have a proper conversation in English, maybe even for half an hour every day. If you can do that, have a proper conversation in English for half an hour with your friend, your fluency will be increased, no doubt about that. Thank you, Mr. Kohli, for your question.
Thank you, sir. I got it.
Okay. Mahmoud, I'm asking you to unmute, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir, for letting me in. Actually, my one is not a question, it's an inquiry. Actually, okay. You had some words regarding our practice session. So I would like to know that if you are going to organize a platform for us to practice our spoken English or other part of the language, so
okay,
is the thing like that?
I got your idea and what you're trying to say. I got it. What you can do, as the Zoom platform, it is an open platform. The chat box is everyone can see your comment. So you can make something like a Facebook group or something like that. And you can put the link of that Facebook group in this chat box so that everybody can see that group's link. And those who are interested to get connected and to practice English together, they can join to that group. And that as the organizer of that group, you can you can then organize sessions of having conversation in English. that is my instant idea. You can implement it in from the next class as well. If you can make a Facebook group and give the link of that group in the chat box, so interested persons can join that group. So that can be one way.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, Rebecca has asked me about my score. I guess I have told you my score in the orientation class. My score was 8 in total, and the parts was 8 in listening, then 8 in reading, 7.5 in writing, and 7.5 in speaking. So in total, 8 was my final score. Thank you all for asking me questions. Now we are out of our time. Maybe I'm taking the last bit of question from Roman, and then we will be going on our ways today. Roman, I'm asking you to unmute. Please ask your question.
Oh, thank you for letting me in. So my question is, having an accent is going to impact our score?
No, it's going, like having an accent will not be going to influence your score in any way, like not in a positive way, not in a negative way. It won't affect.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all then. We will be ending this session today. Thank you all for participating, and hope to see you in the next class in the next week. Allah Hafiz.